Be a catalyst for change. Be brave. Do something.
Ladies and gentlemen, James O'Keefe.
It's great to be here in Florida. It's great to be here. My name is James O'Keefe. I am an investigative journalist, dying breed in this country apparently. And I represent an organization called Project Truth. And you could say that, like, we investigated Acorn years ago. We did this investigation, a community organization does community organizing. You could say that I am a community organizer. I organize other like-minded citizen journalists to expose the truth, which is what I'll be talking to you about today. And I have some video I'm going to show you today. I've got some amazing videos, so you're in for a treat. I'm going to take you on a tour de force through our greatest hits. And over the years, we have exposed a lot of corruption. We've done over 100 undercover investigations, including here in Florida, which I'll get to in a minute. Most recently, we exposed the Gillum campaign. I know a lot of people saw that one. And yeah, as you can see, I've posed as everything: pimps, prostitutes, doctors, terrorists, telephone technicians. That one didn't end so well. We've exposed CNN, the New York Times, Twitter, Facebook, Hillary Clinton. We go after the sacred cows, Planned Parenthood, Acorn, all the groups the media won't touch. But we go there. We actually go there. This is an example of something that we do. Sometimes it doesn't require lots and lots of explanation, just requires a short 20-second video.
He's back! Not Bin Laden, James O'Keefe.
This video, it's from the conservative watchdog group Project Veritas.
Waiting across the Rio Grande to show how easy it is to evade border security.
West Texas, Hudspeth County, crossing the Rio Grande River, they say that there's tremendous border security. Well, I beg to differ. And as I was running through the desert, this is in 2014, waving down Border Patrol agents, they drove in the opposite direction. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. So, I'm going to talk to you today about our mission statement, and I'm going to walk around a little bit here, to expose corruption at the highest levels, such that it changes hearts and minds and compels reform of our institutions. And the Project Veritas motto is content. We get them on tape. It's irrefutable. No explanation is required. There's nothing to debate. And I'm going to talk to you again about the most recent thing we did first, politicians behaving badly. And the thing about politicians, particularly Democratic politicians in red states like this one, is they have to lie about who they are in public versus what they really intend to do in private. They must lie in order to get elected. They have to be one thing in public and another thing in private, which is great because people like me and my colleagues can go in and expose them. Which brings me to our friend, Andrew Gillum. So, this is a razor-thin election. I think it was determined by some 30,000 votes or something like that. We go in and talk to this man. Some of you may remember him. He is a character. And I actually think this guy's one of the most honest people I've ever talked to. I mean, he tells it like it is. And first, one of the things he says is he talks about what he thinks about the voters of Florida and the people of Florida. Here he is talking about you.
All right, this is a fast state.
Okay.
It's a cracker state.
Okay.
Okay? Ask anybody outside of here, you go Port St. Lucie, Orlando, man, them crackers ain't gonna let us do that, dog. Dog, you crazy?
That's it, man.
He then goes on this monologue multiple times about how all of the policies that Gillum is proposing, this sort of socialism policies. He says it's all fairy tales. And he says this over and over again. So our undercover reporter, who I will add, is in this audience here somewhere. She's here today. She's here today. I'm not going to say where she is, but she's here. She asks him to repeat this, all the while filming everything that he says.
The gentleman called on the phone, and he said, fairy tales in the old days begin with once upon a time. Fairy tales in the modern day begin with once I am elected.
Do voters know that?
That's not for them to know.
That's not for the voters to know, he says, that this is something that we hold until they get elected. And it turns out that this man, because people will say, well, he's just a low-level staffer, right? Who is he? He tells us in one of these encounters that he actually went to college with Andrew Gillum. They worked closely together. They went to college together. In the raw tape, we found this. We released this tape, and Mr. Gillum is forced to respond.
When I became aware of his comments, we gave instruction to immediately sever ties with him as a vendor. I find his comments deeply regrettable.
Found his comments deeply regrettable. The regrettable thing is that he got caught making the comments. And as opposed, you know, there's never an appreciation for exposing the corruption. It's always anger against the person who is exposing it. And it did make the mainstream media. It even made the New York Times, which called Project Veritas an undercover journalism operation. That was cool. And it was a very close election, but it wasn't the only election that we worked in. Here's another man named Beto O'Rourke and Robert O'Rourke. In Texas, how many of you remember seeing this video inside the Beto O'Rourke campaign? Many of you may not know, but these workers, and this is on hidden camera inside of his office, as far as we could see, were not actually doing any actual work. They were using campaign funds to divert the funds to pay for migrant caravans. But don't take my word for it, and it's a little bit hard to hear and see, but I'm going to play this for you. They're talking about using these funds, campaign funds, and saying that they don't really care about breaking the rules. They say we must break the law and we must break the rules.
What's happening? What's happening? So there's like, that migrant caravan. A few of them got here already, and they're dropping them off like really close to Missouri.
Who? The Hondurans?
Oh, the Hondurans, yeah. It's this holy something church, but it's actually really close here to downtown, okay. She said. So she's gonna text me the address. I'm gonna go get some food right now. Like, there's some stuff that we can drop off because they need food and blankets. So if you know anybody that has like blankets we got permission to give them some of these waters, so we're gonna take some of these waters too.
How did they get through?
I think they accepted them, like, as asylum seekers, and so the way they do it is like there's like these certain organization and churches that they allow these migrants to stay in until they get like a court date and their attorneys, and then.
I'm done being nice, I'm done being professionals, I'm just gonna break the rules. It's kind of like, it's just unbelievable. They just, and they're laying on the floor, they're not actually working for the campaign, they're just breaking rules and using campaign funds. But something extraordinary happened, and this is going to be a theme that I share with you throughout this evening. We break these stories, and there's this tremendous groundswell from the citizens, because the media loves this guy. They're never going to report on what he does. But the people, and this is in Texas where this occurred, kept sending notes and tweets and emails to all the local TV stations. And then this happened.
Our email and Facebook page have been blowing up with lots of you demanding we check out this video claiming to have damaging information about Senate candidate Beto O'Rourke.
Here's the undercover video. The people who took it say it shows O'Rourke staffers using campaign money to help illegal immigrants from that caravan making its way toward the U.S. So who is making this new claim, and is it true?
Yeah, Lauren Tallarico is looking into this. Lauren, what did you find out?
Yeah, well, we've gotten emails from so many people. I mean, Kevin, Gary, Lou, Brandon, you name it. A lot of people asking us to look into this very video. It's a 24-minute undercover video.
They had forced all the local TV stations in Texas to cover the video. And they all did. And it even got a reaction from the candidate himself. So what you're seeing is that instead of us reacting to them, they are now reacting to you. So, and this is an unusual, it's like a long horizontal audience, so I'm going to walk back and forth here. Why does Project Veritas exist? Well, I'm going to ask for a show of hands. How many of you have ever questioned authority? Raise your hand. Pretty much every single person here. Okay, and that's not surprising. How many of you saw results from you questioning authority? You got fired. I like you. It's like the Facebook person this week. Where'd you get fired from? International paper. International paper. Talk to me afterwards. How many of you saw results? So maybe about half of you. How many filmed you doing that? How many recorded yourselves doing that? I see maybe one hand and then it went down. One hand over there. Okay. 2 hands. Okay. So that's what we do. We challenge authority, we get results, and we film the experience. Here's an example. And one of the themes I'm going to talk to you about tonight, and by the end of, in the next 40 minutes, I'm going to actually have a call to action for all of you, but I want to save that for the end as a surprise. In Texas, an insider actually filmed at the poll locations voter fraud. Caught a woman on tape saying that DACA people are voting, and it happens all the time. He said, we have a lot of them voting, says the poll worker. This was an insider who put a camera on themselves at the polls. I know a lot of you work the polls. I know you do. This person filmed it, and filming it led to a probe by the state. Of course, this probably happens all the time. Fraud happens all the time. And I've heard so many stories from people in this room, because I've been to Florida a few times, and you tell me the things I saw. Well, you can see it, but it's one thing, if you see it, you need to have everyone see it. And that's what we need to do more of. So going back to why does Project Veritas exist, I'm going to get a little philosophical for a second, and then I'm going to show you more of things that we have done over the years. My mentor was a man named Andrew Breitbart. And Andrew Breitbart died almost exactly 7 years ago, March 1st, 2012. And I met him in California, and I had these videos, which I will share with you in a minute. And I said, you know, what's going on? And he said, James, the media is so powerful. Politics is really downstream from the culture. Politics is an illusion. It's downstream from the culture, which is the media. And now what's happening is the media is downstream from big technology like Google and Facebook and Twitter. And Andrew taught me this, and he said, James, the media is everything. The media is more powerful than all 3 branches of government. And if you don't believe it, every time you turn on cable news, all the people in the government are being interviewed by CNN. Well, what's that about? They spend so much time being interviewed instead of actually doing their jobs. So Andrew taught me this, and then I also came to the realization that our country is in such a deep state of trouble that solutions are probably beyond the legislative process. So we need to have an outside solution. We need to have some way to impact the system from the outside, or to at least put pressure on those on the inside from the outside. This is self-evident as far as I'm concerned. What happened to our media, which is supposed, again, if the media was doing their job, there wouldn't be a need for people like me. So what the hell happened to the media? What the hell happened? The crooked media. The broken, rotten, crooked media. I'm not talking about necessarily the local journalists. I'm talking about the national journalists. Fake news. This man, before I was even alive, was the most trusted man in America, Walter Cronkite. And then now, no one really trusts the media. And I say it's 3 things: greed, laziness, and fear. Journalists, it's not even politics. Journalists are just lazy. They don't do the job. They do the easy thing. And it's not just conservatives that make this argument. It's no less than Noam Chomsky. There's a reciprocity of interest between what the media says and what they report upon. So go back 9 years ago, I say, I'm so upset, I'm going to do something about it. It's like that thing inside of you that says, I need to take action, I need to do something. We need to do something. So I knocked on the door of my grandmother, and I asked her if she had like a 1970s fur coat. Like a pimp coat. And my grandmother said, I've got just the thing for you. And she takes out this chinchilla coat, and she gives it to me. And then I meet this young woman online, and she says, I love what you did with the Planned Parenthood videos. Why don't you investigate Acorn? And I didn't really even know what Acorn was. Apparently Barack Obama was an attorney for Acorn back in the 1990s. I looked at YouTube videos. I saw them breaking the law, busting into foreclosed homes, squatting homes, and I said, this group is doing some illegal things. I'll look into it. She said, why don't we go in as a pimp and a prostitute? Which is a crazy idea. And we had no money, and everyone thought we were completely crazy, probably including my grandmother. But the rest is history.
She was ridiculous, I mean picturesque, yeah.
I mean, this is not exactly William F. Buckley lecturing you on economics. This is right up Andrew Breitbart's alley. And I show him the tapes, and the first thing that Andrew Breitbart says to me is, this is going to embarrass the New York Times. And I said, what are you talking about, New York Times? This is Acorn, doing people behaving badly, people doing things they shouldn't be doing, which I'm going to show you in a second. The first video, in Maryland, they were telling me how to evade the law, and I kept making it as outrageous as I could. I said, we've got 12 underage prostitutes. And they're like, that's fine. And I said, well, you know, we want to claim them on our taxes. Oh, we can do that too. And they just kept on going. You can see it here.
Prostitution? Anything that the government's not getting money from is always against the law.
Let me make sure there's a code for it, okay?
A code for prostitution?
You might have to name it something else. Performance arts, let's see. Independent artists. You can be that. Your business is a performing artist.
A performing artist?
But you are. Okay, so you're not lying.
There's gonna be 13 El Salvadorian girls coming into this house, and they're very young, and we don't want to put them on the books.
You can use them as a dependent.
Okay.
You can use them as a dependent because they live in.
The Acorn worker is telling us to use the underage El Salvadorian prostitute as a dependent on our tax returns. And at this point, I couldn't come up with anything more outrageous in this improvised undercover scenario. So Breitbart says, release one tape and let the media say it's an isolated incident. And that is exactly what they did. They said it was isolated. So we released the second tape, and the third tape, and the fourth tape, and the fifth tape, and the sixth tape, and the seventh tape. And all of a sudden, it was such an indictment of the mainstream media. It was a nail through the heart of the New York Times. The New York Times had to apologize. You may not remember this. They had to apologize, just like Andrew Breitbart predicted. There was a headline that said something like, tuning in too late. It was written by the Ombudsman, and he said we should have assigned a reporter to the story. And in an extraordinary series of events, both houses of Congress, which were democratically controlled, voted to defund Acorn, and President Obama signed the legislation. But I learned through this process, and let me tell you something, it was quite a thing. I mean, CNN called me like 75 times consecutively, and I never picked up the phone. I never picked up the phone. They kept calling and calling and calling. And Andrew Breitbart said, do not pick up that phone. I said, I'm not picking up that phone. And the media so desperately wanted to attack me, and suburban kid from New Jersey trying to find out. I didn't give them anything. All they had was the tape. But I learned through this process something very personal. And this is the reason why people don't do what I do, you know. People don't do what I do. Pulitzer Prize winning reporter for the Washington Post, just made something up about me. She just said, she reported that I went after Acorn because of my animus towards African American voters. And she had to print a retraction. She had to correct it. She just made it up. And I was so heartbroken because there isn't an ounce of me that's racist. I had nothing to do with race. It was about exposing fraud. This group is getting government money. They ought to be investigated. And this taught me a lesson. People don't do this because they don't want to be attacked by the media. They want to be liked. You want to be liked. I want to be liked. You want to be liked. Everyone wants to be loved, right? Well, if you're going to do this, you're going to be hated. You're going to be hated by all the people that you want to be loved from. And I realized, okay, this is a war. This is an electronic civil war. And this is just last week, the Washington Post printed a retraction on the Covington Catholic kids in D.C. Yeah, exactly. Someone said it's not much of a retraction. I frame this stuff and make it huge and put it in my office. I have something called the Wall of Shame where all the retractions are listed. They should put this on the front page. They got sued for $250 million. So, the name of the book on this book tour, it's called American Pravda. Why did I call it American Pravda? We are giving them out for free of charge, donation suggested. American Pravda because Pravda is truth. In the Soviet Union, people in the Soviet Union knew that they were being lied to. They were afraid to do anything about it because they would be sent off to the gulags if they protested. In America, many people don't know that they're being lied to. Many people believe what they read in the pages of the New York Times. So we're calling this campaign to expose the media the American Pravda. And it's a pretty, this is why truth is so powerful. Who would win? All the billion-dollar media corporations or a little itty-bitty camera on my button? If I went into places like CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times, even Facebook and Twitter, with the hidden camera, what types of things would I see? Well, you all know about CNN and their obsession with Russia. The word Russia on CNN has been mentioned tens of thousands of times.
Russia.
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 So, they had to print all these retractions a year ago, so we decided to take our hidden cameras and expose the producers at CNN. Saying things, how many of you remember this one? Saying things that are the complete opposite of what they say on television.
Then why is CNN constantly like, Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
Because it's ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now. And the CEO of CNN said in our internal meeting, he said, good job everybody covering the climate accords, but we're done with it, let's get back to Russia.
But honestly, you think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit?
Could be bullshit. I mean, it's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof.
We don't have any proof. It's BS, says the producer in Atlanta. CNN responded by saying, well, we support diversity of personal opinion. Why don't we see these diverse opinions on your network? And this is a great headline, the most busted name in news, CNN. And you might say, well, I don't know who this producer is, some behind-the-scenes guy. Tell me someone I do know. How many people have heard of Van Jones? Okay, let's see what Van Jones has to say about whether there's any merit to this Russia stuff they keep talking about.
Hey, man. We met in Palm Springs a few years back.
Good to see you, man. You good?
Yeah. How you been? What are you doing? What do you think's going to happen this week? I mean, with the whole Russia thing.
The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think that...
There's nothing there you can do.
The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger, says Van Jones. This actually, and he of course attacks me, you know, he attacks Project Veritas. It's all lies, it's all deceptively edited. It was a 16-second clip. There's nothing by which to edit out of it. I walked up to him and then I walked away. And he said the thing, but he attacks me. The video is a hoax. But what you'll notice is that when you really get these guys good, when you expose what they think, even the mainstream media sometimes has to ask the difficult questions.
This guy is a hoaxer. He's a fraudster. He's been convicted. He's paid fines. He had to apologize. He's a scumbag, and he does this stuff all the time.
So when on the tape you say that the Russia investigation was a big nothing burger, what do you mean?
I meant for progressives to keep jumping up and down about this doesn't make a lot of sense.
They just don't want to talk about the facts. They want to obfuscate, change the subject, you know, make it unclear. You said what you said, Van Jones. We actually saw Van Jones at CPAC last week, and I couldn't resist the urge to walk up to him and talk to him, and he had this to say.
Show the whole tape. Don't take it and sleep.
That was the extent of our conversation. You exposed me for being sensible. You said something sensible.
No. That's you took the whole thing out of context. We had a whole conversation. Why do you guys just take a little clip and a little clip and put it together? If you're honest, show the whole thing. Put the whole tape up, and then people can.
The whole thing was, I asked you, what do you think of the Russia thing?
And I said about that day. It was that day. I was talking. I said, look, this thing's a nothing burger. Everybody was all excited. We're going to have this hearing. It's going to change the world. And the hearing was a total nothing burger.
Van, this is James O'Keefe. What was taken out of context?
You saw the thing yourself. You know what's taken out of context. And I'm not going to talk to you because this guy I at least have a relationship with. You are somebody who is known for taking stuff out of context and being a horrible human being. So I'm going to go away. Keep walking, dude.
I'm a horrible human being for reporting what you said. So. And then there are the memes, right? I think the memes have really contributed to discourse. Did you know that in Venezuela, they communicate, they fight the oppressive regime through memes on Instagram? I was actually talking to some Venezuelan exiles. You may not know this. They communicate through images. That's how they talk to each other. That's how they fight the regime. There is your nothing burger. Okay, and to getting a little more serious, we've even had leakers, informants inside these companies send us tapes. This is a video from CNN where someone was being interviewed about whether or not there's voter fraud, and CNN aired just a 1 or 2 minute video, but the leaker sent us the raw of the interview. He put the audio in his pocket, he recorded the whole thing. So watch the cut down version versus the full one.
Billy, are you sticking with that you've seen busloads or no?
I have seen busloads. I guess I can't cite the busloads that I've seen and where I've seen them and stuff, but on television I've seen it. I have seen busloads. I guess I can't cite the busloads that I've seen and where I've seen them and stuff, but on television I've seen it.
And then they cut it right there. But what you didn't hear came a moment after that. What CNN did not air was this.
And I mean, has anybody looked into like what James O'Keefe has done when he went undercover to these various polling places? That was voter registration. No, he went in and basically was ready to vote as somebody else. Nobody asked for ID. I was actually a poll watcher in New Jersey, and I saw what was going on there. There were college students voting, and there was basically you use a. That's right. Or you use a provisional ballot, and it's never challenged. They just put it right through.
CNN edited all that part out to make him look like a conspiracy theorist. But the guy on the panel had a recording device in his pocket, and he sent it to us. And thus, yes, exactly. And thus the Project Veritas leaks campaign has begun. And one insider became 2, insiders became 3. These videos were viewed millions of times on YouTube. So what do you think YouTube and Google and Facebook are going to do in response to this sort of citizen engagement? They're going to try to shadow ban you. They're going to try to deboost you, which is a word we just learned. And that's why we want to talk about social media censorship for a few minutes. Let's see. I was banned on Twitter in the 2016 election. I was reinstated. And in 2018, we went after Twitter itself. This is a little clip to introduce for those of you who don't know. Twitter actually can shadow ban you. That means when you post to your timeline, I like the hat with the upside down Twitter bird. They have a few hats with the upside down Twitter bird. That's right, we're giving out those hats. Twitter can actually make it so that when you post on your timeline, your friends do not know that you're being deboosted or banned. Here's a little intro from Rush Limbaugh talking about our investigation.
James O'Keefe, Project Veritas. Bottom line, gave me a heads up on this Twitter project that he had going. And he didn't give me anything specific, but he said that it's going to shock a lot of people. I said, why is it going to shock them? Because you wouldn't believe a number of people who think Twitter is just straight up and up. There's no politics to it. Well, anyway, he released the tape and the accompanying transcripts, the secret tapes that he had made with current and former Twitter employees. And he has indeed blown the place up.
And let's see what happened. This man works on the Twitter direct messaging team. That means when you privately message your friends, this man works on the software that governs those messages. And he says that if you tweet about guns, God, or America, Twitter considers you to be a Russian bot. Don't take my word for it, just listen to what he says.
Just go to a random tweet and like just look at the followers. Yeah. It'll all be like guns, God, America, like and with the American flag and like the cross. Yeah, something. No one really America. No. Like who says that? Who talks like that? It's for sure a bot.
Who talks like that? Who talks about God, guns, the American flag? You must be a bot, says Pranay Singh, who works full-time for Twitter. And then we talked to a man named Abhinav Vadrevu, software engineer, who describes what shadow banning means.
One strategy is to shadow ban so that you have ultimate control. The idea of the shadow ban is that you ban someone but they don't know they've been banned because they keep posting but no one sees their content. So they just think that no one's engaging with their content when in reality no one's seeing it.
No one is seeing their content. They think that the other people are seeing, but you're not. This is according to Twitter. And let me tell you something. For those of you who are not interested in this or versed in this, these companies can swing elections. They can change everything because all the content gets shared and distributed through these platforms. And these companies, I'm telling you right now, because I'm working with people on the inside of these companies, intend to do precisely that. So, this shadow banning term eventually made it to the president. He started talking about it. I think one of the greatest synergies or virtues of this president is his calling out the media's crap. And I'm fine with a private company doing what they want so long as they're honest about it. If they're going to shadow ban us, tell us on the record. Don't lie under oath in Congress and say that you don't do something that you do. And then you got these media companies like BuzzFeed. Twitter says they don't do this. Well, sometimes people on the record are not honest compared to what they say into the hidden cameras. So as part of the Be Brave campaign, most recently, we had someone inside of Facebook leak us documents. This was 2 weeks ago. And she leaked us documents showing a code inside Facebook de-boosting live stream videos, taking videos, converting them to text, finding keywords, and de-boosting or downranking or demoting the content in the videos.
I came across a document called Coordinated Trolling on Facebook, and it was this troll report where they wanted to address the problem of trolls on the platform and what they could do to combat it.
She leaked us something called a troll report. She leaked us documents inside Facebook. In the documents, it shows they're trying to ban speech that's on the perimeter of hate speech. What does that mean, perimeter of hate speech? What is it? Whatever they want it to mean. She leaked us a report showing us them demoting certain types of content if it's bad, or content that had really bad racist words like mainstream media. Now, I swear, the report says if you use the term MSM, you get a troll score assigned to your account. I mean, this is what these companies are doing, and you don't know that they're doing it. But she leaked us the documents, and Facebook fired her for leaking us the documents. She is a patriot. She is a patriot. And Project Veritas hired her after Facebook fired her. So, and we hired her with donations that we got from all of you. So thank you for supporting Project Veritas. And the media, once again, it's like clockwork. They say Facebook fired her for stunt. Stunt. What is stunt like? I've done some stunts in my day, but giving documents to someone and interviewing the whistleblower is not a stunt. So let me talk about voter fraud for a minute, because you're all in Broward County, Florida, so this issue must be near and dear to your heart. Palm Beach County, Broward County, Palm Beach County, Florida, where this shenanigans tend to take place. So let me talk to you about this. First, I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to show you an investigation we did on Hillary Clinton, and I'm going to show you an investigation we did in New Hampshire. This is a man named Scott Fogel, works for Bob Creamer, who was fired by Hillary Clinton, and he's talking about inciting violence at Trump rallies in the 2016 election.
It doesn't matter what the frickin' legal and ethics people say. We need to win this.
If you're there and you're protesting and you do these actions, you will be attacked at Trump rallies. That's what we know.
There's a script. Okay. There's a script of engagement. Sometimes the crazies bite and sometimes the crazies don't bite.
Hillary is aware of all the work that you guys do, I hope.
The campaign is fully in it.
And then they tell Hillary what's going on.
Well, I mean, Hillary knows her chain of command.
Yeah.
This man named Bob Creamer was telling us that Hillary knew about this, and unlike the Mueller evidence, this stuff is on tape. These people, I don't know, some people ask me, why aren't they prosecuted? This is not a conspiracy theory. This is evidence of videotape of these people talking about stirring up violence. There's some of the tape where Scott Fogel talks about busing people from Illinois to Wisconsin and back. And in lawsuits between me and this group, the individuals conveniently cannot be located for a deposition. They just vanished off the face of the earth, apparently. Unbelievable. And it goes on. Bob Creamer, who's married to Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, tells us that it was all Hillary's idea to put these ducks on the ground.
The campaign pays DNC, DNC pays Democracy Partners pays the Fogel Group goes and executes on the ground.
I'm not suggesting we wait around. We need to start the right away.
You know what? We've been busting people in to deal.
He says, hard to hear, we've been busing people in the deal with you effing assholes for 50 years, and we're not going to stop now, says Scott Fogel.
For 50 years, and we're not going to stop now. They're just going to find a different way to do it.
In the end, it was the candidate, Hillary Clinton, the future president of the United States, who wanted ducks on the ground. So by God, we will give ducks on the ground.
So it's... Wow.
Don't repeat that to me.
Don't repeat that to anybody. So this was repeated to about 50 million people. And I'm sitting in the debate, right, in 2016. This is the most televised debate in American political history. And I'm sitting about 13 rows back, and I'm sitting there, minding my own business, listening to this debate, and suddenly I hear, the clips, it is so bad, what she is doing. It's causing so much violence. And suddenly my phone blew up. Everyone I've ever known going back to kindergarten was texting me, James, I just heard you mentioned in the presidential debate, Donald Trump tells Hillary Clinton, you were inciting violence with this guy, Bob Creamer. He goes after her, and she never denies this accusation.
I have a feeling how they came. I believe it was her campaign that did it. Just like if you look at what came out today on the clips, where I was wondering what happened with my rally in Chicago and other rallies where we had such violence. She's the one in Obama that caused the violence. They hired people, they paid them $1,500, and they're on tape saying, be violent, cause fights, do bad things.
And you might, yeah, she did not deny it. Now you might ask, what happened to these people? Well, guess what? Bob Creamer, nothing happened to him. Nothing. Why? You elect all these politicians? Ask them that question. Because Bob Creamer ends up suing me and my colleagues. I'm being sued. The conservatives have to grow a pair of balls. And I know that Bob Creamer is watching this stream, I don't know, ex post facto, maybe in a few weeks. I will not give you $1, okay? You're going to have to, I will not give you a penny, not $1. I will not settle any of these frivolous lawsuits ever again. Acorn sued me for invasion of privacy like 8 years ago, and I said, I don't want to go to trial. I will go to trial. And in these depositions, we will come after you. We're going to expose you. All of you people. And listen, if the politicians do not have the stones to do anything, then I guess the citizen journalists will have to reveal who these people are. I don't know. But I will never settle a lawsuit ever again. Ever. Ever. She was asked about it. She didn't say anything. You know, she just avoided the whole subject. You know, this is a funny moment. I have to show you this moment briefly, and then I'm going to share one more video campaign with you, and then we'll go to the book signing. I'm backstage at the debate. This is like one of those moments, truth is stranger than fiction, you know? Because I'm backstage, and it's hard to get the undercover videos onto cable news. It's a controversial medium. But I'm seeing, and Hannity is an amazing guy. He played our tapes every day in October. He's been very good to Project Veritas. I see Sean Hannity, I'm thinking maybe if I sort of walk into the shot, I will get onto the camera to talk about these Bob Creamer videos. This is one of those amazing moments, one of the most amazing moments I've ever been a part of.
Let me ask you this, because I think this is important. We had 2 tapes now come out. I just saw James O'Keefe in the crowd here a moment ago. We had 2 tapes come out. One shows that money coming directly from the Clinton campaign, funneled through the DNC, funneled through Democracy, whatever, right into the hands of agitators fomenting violence, going back as far as Chicago against your father, and a huge, massive voter fraud scheme that they put into works. This, to me, hasn't even resonated with the American people yet.
No, it hasn't, and it has to get out there. I mean, and that's part of what he was talking about today.
On my phone, trying to walk over to the camera.
Okay, we'll accept a fair result, but we're not going to accept them when they say, we've been doing this for 50 years, we've been busting, we don't play by the rules. The rules only apply to conservatives, apparently, or maybe we're the only ones with the morals to be able to actually comply by them. You know, this stuff's coming out. This isn't pretend. This is undercover video.
That's James O'Keefe right over there that did the video.
He did a great job, and I think, listen, he's doing the American people a great service by highlighting this, because everyone thinks, oh, the system's so honest. No way they would do that.
So, it's funny, they try to put me in jail, they sue me, they won't let me on television. There's a will, there's a way. You got to figure out a way to do it. And this is if you get a copy of the book, which again, we're giving them away in exchange for a donation, and about middle way through the book, we're all standing in the Project Veritas headquarters at the height of the 2016 election, on the eve of the debate. And of course, Twitter, the thing is not trending on Twitter. Like everything else is trending on Twitter. There's 100 million tweets, and it's not trending on Twitter. But the people standing behind Anderson Cooper holding up signs. These are not my people. These are just citizens who are so outraged. Hashtag Project Veritas. And for all of you cynics out there who think there's no hope, the media is so awful, I'm going to challenge you for a minute. I'm going to show you 2 things. One is from CNN, and one is from the New York Times. And they're both positively covering the fruits of this. Anderson Cooper gets in a dig, but he actually talks about the investigation.
Different video emerging of a group of pro-Clinton political operatives talking about stirring up trouble and provoking violence at Trump rallies. The video comes from Project Veritas brainchild James O'Keefe, who's got a less than stellar reputation for accuracy. However, some of the things you'll hear on the tape are certainly hard to ignore. Enough we're learning for one person to be fired so far, another to resign. A lot of questions being asked about the recording. Senior investigative correspondent Drew Griffin tonight.
And they spent an hour on it. It even made the A section of the New York Times. And if people say, you know, what's your vision? What is your vision? What are you hoping to accomplish? I am hoping that all the national dead newspapers will put our videos on the front page over and over and over again. And before you say, well, that's just wishful thinking, that's not possible, well, there it is. How is that wishful thinking? Well, we need to do that 100 times over. So, let's talk about one more thing, and then I'll go to the close. Voter fraud, getting back to the issue of integrity, voting integrity in Palm Beach, Broward County, Florida. I want to show you something that I hope will inspire you. One more inspirational example, followed by the call to action. This is in New Hampshire. In 2016, we go in New Hampshire, you don't need an ID to vote, and you also don't even have to be a resident of the state to vote. It's unbelievable. So, in the interests of cinema verite, we go in to prove the point. So I decided to see if James O'Keefe could vote in the New Hampshire primary.
Supposed to be, isn't the book, I think it's at least 20 days.
Is it 20 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
The question about how long you have to stay.
How long I have to stay here afterwards? Yeah.
You can stay here until the day after the election.
So, you know, it's the 20 days and then I could vote. Okay, it's 20 days residency before I can vote. I go to the next poll location. I get told something different.
Okay, how long do I have had to be in New Hampshire to vote today? Probably 48 hours.
Okay, that woman says 48 hours. Let's see what this woman says.
How long do I have to stay in New Hampshire to vote today?
There's no requirement.
This woman says there's no requirement at all.
You want to vote today, you might tell them that you're with your friend and you're here indefinitely, which sounds like it's true.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
And if
yeah,
say
not 100% true, but I understand,
but you're here indefinitely.
This woman just tells us to lie. Just tell them that you're staying with a friend, which is true, right? No, it's not true. Well, just say it anyway. So you might say, well, this doesn't matter, nobody cares. You would be wrong. This made the front page of every paper in New Hampshire for a week. So, and this is just like one person at the polls. So, but I'm not done. No, we're just getting started. No, this is going to get interesting. This is one of the most, truth is stranger than fiction. So we make the front page of every newspaper in New Hampshire, and I get a letter. By the way, does the Attorney General of New Hampshire, you know, praise Project Veritas, reform the system? No. He sends me a letter threatening me. And the Attorney General says, please cooperate with us. A subpoena may be necessary. They're trying to subpoena my hard drives. So some people, and again, I hate to pick on conservatives, but they tend to not have stones. Some people would curl into a fetal position, you know, back down, give up, quit. What do you think Project Veritas does when they get a letter from the Attorney General threatening us? We release another video. So the Attorney General of New Hampshire threatens me with subpoenas. I release another video, the second video in 2016, voter fraud. This is Bernie Sanders' regional field director, Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire, and this guy is bragging in a bar to our journalist about how he committed a crime and voted in New Hampshire using the campaign headquarters address as his home address, which is a misdemeanor in New Hampshire. You cannot do that. Here he is bragging about it.
Do you have to vote in Colorado then?
No, I want to hear.
Oh, you did? How?
So to vote in New Hampshire, all you have to do is prove a domicile. That's about it.
Oh, so you registered in Manchester. Yeah. How did you do that though? What address did you use?
This one. Yeah.
Oh, really? The office?
He admits to using the Bernie Sanders campaign office as his address. The guy is so stupid, he even posted a picture to Twitter of him voting in the campaign office. So we've got the document, we've got the admission, case closed. The Attorney General investigates him, right? Right? No, the Attorney General sends me a second letter. And this letter, like the first, says, you must cooperate with the attorney. What the hell do I have to cooperate? I'm just a journalist revealing information. Shouldn't the person be cooperating as the guy who's breaking all the laws, committing all the fraud? So what do? Do we back down? Do we get scared? Do we curl up in the fetal position and hope to God that the Attorney General doesn't come after us? No, we release another video. I mean, it's really easy. If the politicians behave this way, maybe we'd actually have a constitutional republic by now. So we released another video, and this one, I mean, I have so many videos, I could play videos all night. I kind of have to summarize it. This is unbelievable. The Bernie Sanders campaign is working with Australian people and bringing them to New Hampshire, which is a violation of campaign finance law. The Australians admit they're doing this. They admit to ripping up signs out of people's lawns. It's just unbelievable. And eventually, these videos of the Australian Socialist Labour Party coming to the United States, working for the campaign, actually leads to the Bernie Sanders campaign getting penalized by the Federal Election Campaign Commission. So, we release these videos. It causes a stir. It even makes it actually makes every Australian newspaper, makes the front page of all the Australian papers. It makes the Brisbane Times. We even got a response from the leader of the Australian Labour Party. Would you believe that not one single mention of this story appeared on cable news? Not one. I bet you didn't even know about it. I bet you never even heard of this story. Bernie Sanders, not even Fox, Bernie Sanders got fined by the FEC. It made the front page of every newspaper in Australia, not one mention on CNN. It did get mentioned on the front page of every New Hampshire story. So what do you think the Attorney General of New Hampshire is going to do? Who said letter? I think you're getting the picture. He sent me a third letter. I've got frames in my office of all the subpoenas and letters and threats. Like the second, it said you must cooperate with the investigation. Failure to cooperate and preserve evidence will result in criminal prosecution. He's threatening me with criminal prosecution. Can you believe that? How broken is our system? What have I done? The Bernie Sanders campaign has actually paid money to the FEC. It's a fact. Look it up. And I'm being threatened with prosecution for exposing it in the state of New Hampshire. Now you might say, well, this is awful. This is terrible. I actually think this is a very good thing, because I think it exposes who these people are. And the moral of the story, which we'll get to in a minute, is that you simply cannot back down from what you believe in. So, to make this all the more, I guess, Shakespearean, I decide, because the Attorney General works for the governor in New Hampshire, and the governor at the time was a woman named Maggie Hassan, who is the United States Senator currently. So because the Attorney General is at the pleasure of the governor, I decide, you know what, you want my hard drives? You can take my hard drives. And I hold a press conference in the governor's office. And I walk across the street to meet the governor. And I give her my hard drive, because I'm just saying, you know what, here I am, you want to arrest me, arrest me. And as I'm walking to the governor's office, a man walks up to me with a green blazer on. And at first I think he's some type of fan of Project Veritas. But then he delivers to me what is a criminal grand jury subpoena. He gives me a subpoena in person. And to make things kind of funny, the guy, he gives me the subpoena, there he is standing next to me, he hands me, I'm literally live streaming a video, confronting the governor, he hands me a subpoena, and guess what the guy's name is? The guy's name is actually Dick Tracy. Richard Tracy. The investigator guy with the Attorney General's office, his name is Dick Tracy. And there's another one, and I don't have time to show you all the videos, but in 2012, we went through the same process where we did this investigation. The Attorney General's at the time sent us a letter. That guy's name was Richard Head. Richard Head. So we got Dick Tracy, we got Dick Head, we got lots of things happening. But eventually, I'm not making this up. You think that I'm making this up? Read the book. Truth, Stranger Than Fiction. All of these people eventually, it all came to pass. New Hampshire voted into law a voter ID law after Dick Head tried to subpoena me. So, I'm going to conclude my remarks over the next few minutes. The campaign Project Veritas is launching is called the Be Brave campaign. It's projectveritas.com/brave. It is the most unusual campaign in American history because there have been people to do undercover journalism in the past, but they were like one person: Mike Wallace, Upton Sinclair, Nellie Bly, Gunter Wallraff, Pam Zeckman, William Gaines. People that won the Pulitzer Prize, but they did so by themselves individually. What this is we're creating an army. We're creating a movement. And what it requires is not all of you, but maybe 1% of you, maybe even 0.01% of you, to take these little cameras and to put them on yourself, on your body, going on the inside, exposing voter fraud. Some people give back to society in different ways. You could join the armed services. You could work and become an elected representative, which is very important. We need good people running for office. But there's another way. But the thing about this other way is you will be attacked. You will be maligned. You will be called names. You will have people like Dick Head and Dick Tracy serving you papers. But the thing that you must know is that it will be worth it. Because nothing comes without error and shortcoming and fighting. I have been attacked by my government. I have been prosecuted for a crime I didn't commit. I have been detained at the border 10 times. Detained at my own border. Because I am a journalist. That is the price you must pay. I have been audited by the New York Attorney General, a guy named Schneiderman. I live and work in New York State. He sent me letters. My picture has graced the front page of my local newspaper, not flattering. My colleagues have been raided by the Attorney General's office because they had the audacity to investigate Planned Parenthood. And in 2010, I stood falsely accused for a crime I did not commit, where the FBI affidavit said that I was doing something with the telephone systems of a United States senator. The affidavit even said that a man is alleged to have waited outside in a car with a listening device. Well, guess what? The listening device was my iPhone. So I know what it feels like to be attacked, targeted, maligned, and personally destroyed. But I tell you all that if you have the ability to see through that, to see that there is an arc, that there is a moral arc, the same moral arc that Martin Luther King talked about, right? That eventually there is justice, that you have to expose the truth, that if you're not going to do it, who will? If you don't do it, who's going to do it? Who? So we ask, if you're on the inside, we ask you to go to our website. You can go to our website, you can click on, I know some of you work in the elections. You can go on there, you can click on Insiders, you can send us a note, and it's all encrypted and secure. We won't do anything until we talk to you. You can take one of our cameras and you can actually film. There is our army. And they are growing. And they come from all walks of life, everywhere from 18 years old to 80 years old, from all over the country, from every state you can imagine. They're growing. There's our new recruits we just started with in January. Tomorrow there's actually some municipal elections in Florida. We actually have people wearing the cameras tomorrow. And I know there's at least one person in this audience. Don't raise your hand. Don't blow yourself. Don't blow your cover. I know there's someone here who's going to be doing that as well. Contact me confidentially. I will equip you, even at the 11th hour. So that's Project Veritas. That's the campaign. Public policy solutions become self-evident when the people know the truth. The truth will set you free. Thank you all very much.
Be a catalyst for change. Be brave. Do something.